I just finished a weekend chore that I actually thoroughly enjoy, and yet I know most people don't. That is the subject of this week's kitchen confession. Andrea writes in that she goes to the grocery store and she looks all around and she has no idea what to buy. She's really striving to stick with her plant-based plans, her plant-based lifestyle, and yet the grocery store just seems to get more confusing every time she shops. What does she do and how does she maneuver it? That is a great question, and it's one that I know can be extremely difficult. It doesn't matter where you are in your plant-based journey. I still face it myself because when you walk into a grocery store, maybe even one that you're not quite so familiar with, and you start walking around the aisles, it can be a little intimidating looking at all of the products that they have on their shelves. And let's face it, if you added it all up, they say today that the average is anywhere from 40 to 50,000 products in today's modern grocery store. How do you do that? How do you wheel your cart around and actually make selections that A, fit with your plant-based lifestyle, B, are healthy, and C, actually good for you? It can be a very difficult thing, especially when you hope to get in and out of the grocery store in maybe 20 minutes, right? Nothing could be more difficult than when you're wandering around hungry. Maybe you have a lot of things on your to-do list before you get home and do all the things that you're going to need to do in order to finish your day. And grocery shopping is not one of them, right? There is actually a secret to it. Now, keep in mind that people want to sell. That's modern democracy. Everybody comes up with an idea, and when they have a good idea, again, they put it together and they want to get it out and to sell it in the biggest quantity possible. That's why every product that you're going to see on your grocery store shelf is going to be marketed to you. That means a lot of the action items on the front are going to scream out that they're good for you, that they're healthy, or that they are natural, or let's get into GMOs and organics. And again, there are so many different words that people use on their products in order to motivate you to pick them up and purchase them. And what you have to remember is that the easiest way to tell what is whole food, to tell what is plant-based, and what is truly healthy and good for your wellness, fewer ingredients that an item has, the better it's going to be. So my suggestions for you, if you are also navigating the grocery store in way too much time and you want to limit your time and actually ensure that you buy food, you can do so in 3 steps. Number 1 is I always suggest to shop the perimeter. Now, what does that mean? When you enter the door, take a right or left, depending on how you enter it, and strictly stay to the outside of the store. Head into the produce section and pick up all kinds of fruits and vegetables. And then you can wheel around into the dairy, and if you are still meat-based, into the meat section, and again, into the bakery, the deli, anything like that, where food tends to be a little more fresh and a little more whole food based. That is where you're going to not see the amount of prepackaged foods that you do on the interior, on the inside aisles of the grocery store. So if you remember that, if you ever try and get sidetracked to go down a specific aisle, unless you have something in mind, I tend to just zoom right by them, have my ideas in mind, spend a lot of time in the produce section, and then wheel around the outside edge, picking up just those few things that I need. That's also where I like to have a list, because when I go into those aisles, I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I won't sidestep what I truly need. And especially if you tend to be a little bit hungry, or maybe if the kids are with you and they want to pick up all those snack foods, it's a great way to eliminate that process. Number 2, I also suggest a strategy that I call Pick 5. And instead of going in there hungry, or maybe just picking up a few items for tonight's dinner, if you really focus on what you want to produce in the course of the next week. It makes shopping easier. It makes you select food that you're actually going to use throughout the week. And it also reduces the need to stop by the grocery store every night. I love doing that. I love getting the freshest food possible. So I typically do shop at the grocery store several times a week so that I can ensure that I'm getting the top quality, the freshest ingredients possible. But it's also nice not to go to the grocery store for a few nights in a row. So with a Pick 5 formula, what you're doing is you're actually selecting items that you will be working with throughout the week. So maybe this is your sweet potato week and you're going to pick up several sweet potatoes and work them into your meals in different fashions. Or maybe it's all about grains and you want to pick up some quinoa or some farro. I love farro. I use that more than rice these days because I just love the taste of it and the structure of it. And makes great bowls, makes great additives to all kinds of things. But this again is up to you. It's what you can work into your meals and something that you can buy maybe in bulk. Again, instead of just 2 or 3 sweet potatoes that you need for this recipe, you're actually buying maybe a bag of sweet potatoes so that you can have stuffed sweet potatoes one night and you can chop them up and include them in a hash the next night. And maybe even you puree them one night and use them as a base for your meal of tempeh or tofu. Choice is yours, and again, this is something that develops over time. It's something that the more you learn about plant-based and recipe creation, meal creation, you'll be able to do this even more effectively. But rather than picking a sweet potato recipe for tonight and a broccoli for tomorrow night, and you keep doing that throughout the week where you end up with this huge bag of food, sometimes it's easier if you just focus in on a couple ingredients, 5 at most, that you can purchase a little more in bulk, bring home, and you're going to have them in your pantry and or your refrigerator ready to go in the evening when you're ready to create your meal. And number 3, I also have a go-to meal formula that you can build Buddha bowls, you can build plates, you can build all kinds of things. If you just think in very specifics, you can pick and choose what you want and always create a delicious meal. Now, what I mean by that is if you select a grain, you select a green, you select a bean, and you select a sauce of some sort. They always make, again, fabulous bowls, fabulous meals, fabulous plates, however you want to create it. To me, there is never a bad night for a bowl. I love Buddha bowls. I love creating them. And the easiest way to do that, again, is to start with your grain. We talked a few minutes ago about quinoa and farro, but there are so many grains, especially the ancient grains. I've talked about them on my Substack frequently. And it's something that if you go to the grocery store, just take a look at all the different grains. There is more to life than rice. So expand beyond the rice. Quinoa is great. It's a very high protein grain. But again, there is so much like barley, like farro, just all kinds of things that you can experiment with and use that as your base. And from there, if you pick a green to put on top of it, because again, we all know that greens are filled with vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, just really wonderful foods and nutrition for your body. So pick a green that works for you. It can be spinach or kale or broccoli or, again, Swiss chard, anything that motivates you, that you enjoy. And if you haven't tried one of them, now might be a chance to pick those up too and experiment with them and see how they fit into your meal. And then I always suggest picking a bean because beans they are like a superfood. They are one of the best protein sources, especially for plant-based people. And they're just so incredibly healthy for you. And there is so many different varieties of beans. If you go to your grocery store, you might start with your kidney beans and your black beans and your white beans and maybe garbanzo beans, right? All the more standard ones that we tend to cook with on a regular basis. But if you move into the dried bean area and you do a little research online, Rancho Gordo is one of my favorite resources that I've been going to lately, and they have a wide variety of heirloom beans that you can play around with. And the flavor is incredible. The texture is equally incredible, and it can really add a lot of variety to your meals. So do some research, pick up a few dried beans and experiment with them too. And then nothing makes a meal better than the sauce. If you haven't experimented with sauces, I highly suggest this is where you start. Because again, just with that base bowl, if you put a dynamic sauce on top, it is really going to complement everything about the meal you're creating. And there are so many great sauces that you can include. What I do is I typically pick out 4 or 5 that I have on hand. At this point, I've even memorized them. Pesto sauces, balsamic, like a soy type teriyaki sauce, all these different combinations that you can create. Once you have all the ingredients on hand, once you even have the recipes memorized, again, it may be anywhere from 5 to 10 ingredients, including salt and pepper and things like that. You whip up a sauce, you include that on your Buddha bowl or on your plate, and it literally changes everything about the meal. And if you do this a few times, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can play around with the flavors so that it works for your taste and for your family's taste. And this really goes beyond picking up the bottle off the shelf, because it is so easy just to use the pure ingredient, salt, pepper, soy sauce, tahini, all the basic things that you need to create dynamic sauces. You can even get a cookbook strictly about sauces. I have one on my bookshelf, on my cookbook shelf, that I pull down fairly frequently to see if I can come up with a new combination of things that I want to play with and that I want to include in the menu that I'm creating. If you use these 3 tips in particular, I guarantee you're going to cut down the time that you spend in the grocery store and also that you spend in the kitchen, because your cooking will become more familiar, you'll have the ingredients readily available, and you'll understand exactly what you're going to pick up as you navigate the store. The store is meant to be a friendly place, not an overwhelming place. And if you feel like it's overwhelming, I highly suggest that you go in and spend a little bit of time to get to know the outside perimeter a little bit more. And then have very specific areas that you want to go to. The grains section, for instance. Head over there, pick up what is really necessary, what is really going to change your cooking, and go with that. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming place. It can be a friendly place that has you running in and out of the grocery store in a matter of minutes. And maybe you can even pick everything up on the weekend like I do, so that you can enjoy your week. Get outside, invest in your hobbies a little bit more, whatever it is, spend those extra few minutes having fun, and then getting in the kitchen and really bringing some joy back into your kitchen. Do you have a kitchen confession? I would love to hear from you, how any of these have motivated you in the kitchen, or if you're having a problem or have a question yourself, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and maybe you'll see yourself in one of my next kitchen confessions.